So this video is going to be a quick one on how I am going to put my pedals in the car. Hopefully it's a quick one. As of now, I don't have a great plan for how I'm going to get these Wilwoods in. So let me walk you through what I've got here. I pulled the big bracket out that used to be right there, and here's the part that mounts right there that holds the column. I did pick up a new column. It's an Ididit column. Now it came in a plain finish, and right out of the box from shipping it's already starting to rust on me, so I need to figure out how I'm going to coat that. But this should look familiar right here. This is the big centerpiece that I took out of it that usually sits in there. And this is the old brake pedal assembly. Now the car never had a 5-speed in it, so there was no clutch. It was just a single pedal. And this is what I'm gonna hopefully replace it with. I'm not sure if it's even possible yet. I need to get creative with it. And this is my brake and my clutch pedal. So just from looking at it and taking that bracket out, I've already seen an issue. If you look at the alignment right here on all of the Mustangs, the master cylinder is almost right in line with where the steering column comes through. And where that becomes an issue is on all of these Wilwood pedals, hopefully you can see this, the master cylinder opening is right in line with the pedal, which means my pedal, when I set this up, is going to be just about in line with that steering column. There's some different options. People have done this with the triple master cylinder, right? The front, rear, and clutch, where they have 3 individual ones, but I don't love the look of that. I really like the look of a classic master cylinder. And this is going to be an issue too. Looking at it, my master cylinder for the clutch has to somehow navigate this big hump here, which I'll probably have to cut that out. Now, this bar alone probably would hold the column, but you can see it's got flex to it. I'm not real comfortable with that. I believe what I'm going to do is cut this into 2 pieces. So if I remove this whole back half here that I haven't blasted, then I can save this front structure, and that will give me 2 locations here for mounting for the column, and then also this back third point, which is critical for right here to give me that 3 point of contact. So the steering column's kind of sitting about where it's going to be. I can adjust the height down a little bit with spacers right here. I do have the pedals just kind of fished in there to get an idea of what I'm dealing with, and you'll notice that these are adjustable where the pads are, so I put the pad as far this way as I can to keep it clear of the brake pedal, or I'm sorry, the throttle here. I think that right there will ride nice, so that'll put me just on the inside, and I can do nice sporty driving, and I'm not so far over that I can't avoid the tunnel when I hit the throttle. For those pedals to work, I need to adjust these holes out, and where the hole needs to go is essentially right here, and then that'll actually help. The farther I bring this over, the more clearance it's going to give me over here for that clutch slave cylinder and the hinges. For this hole I'm about to drill, I'd like to get it as tight as I can on center. So from the rib to center, we're looking at about 500 thousandths, exactly a half an inch. And I can make a little mark here. If I keep my center line right there on this next hole, it'll bring everything over, and that should put me in a safe zone where I won't bind on the firewall with this clamp. Okay, so I've got some holes drilled and I've located it out a good bit. My big concern right now is that the motor is going to clear that master cylinder, and it's going to be a lot of work to do it, but it'll be a lot more work to mess this up. I need to put the motor in and see what kind of clearance I truly got before I go any farther, because if that motor doesn't fit, I'm probably wasting my time. So that'll be next. This is turning into a project. Remember that thing I said about a quick video? What I found was I've got interference issues with this master cylinder, right? So I machined down one of the caps, I snugged it down real good, and I took about 3/16 off of it, and it helped, but I'm still within 1/8 of an inch of my valve cover. And I just don't like that. I know that I'm gonna have more space once the motor tilts up. I'll get some tilt once the transmission's in it, but it's just real tight. And even so, if you look at my column here, I've made 2 marks. I'm still rubbing. I can feel the pedal hitting it. Now I've got that other column over there, and I thought about just pulling the guts out of this and switching columns. But then I realized I'm fighting millimeters here, right? Over a rub. And looking inside here, this shaft has a ton of room. There's almost an inch between the shaft and the housing here. Now it's just this one side and this one part that's giving me trouble. I'm gonna strip this thing. I wanted to strip it anyways to coat it, powder coat it, or paint it. I'm gonna strip it and I'm gonna machine this. And I'm gonna take a section out right here. I hate to do it to something that I just spent a whole bunch of money on. I mean, this is a $700 steering column, but if I don't do that, the other option is running the triple master cylinder and getting a different pedal assembly. And by the time I'm into that, I'll be into it more money. So what's the worst that can happen? If I mess it up, I'll put it back to original. But I'm gonna strip this down and I'll put this in the milling machine, and we're gonna take some meat off of this. hopefully I didn't mess that up. So I've taken a ton of material off here. I feel pretty good about that. I measured it out, and I think I'm down about 3/16. So this is an 1/8 here, and it's well past this little parallel here. So what I'm gonna do is figure out the width, which this is almost the right width for it. I mean, it's almost spot on. And once I've got the width that I need, I can pull it up through with a magnet and TIG weld it in there. So I've got some thin 20 gauge here that I think will do the trick. It should still have lots of strength, because looking at what they've removed here, and fortunately it's opposite of what I'm removing, that space combined is about what I took off here. I was careful with that. I do have 10 gauge. I think that would be overkill. I don't think I need 10 gauge. I think that this 20 gauge here will do the trick, but I'll definitely do a little testing with it. All right, so it's mounted in there. It wasn't pretty. I went a little bit bigger than I should have on the cutout, but I was able to make space for it with a couple of washers. It's mounted nice and secure. Same with the brake master cylinder here. I feel pretty good about that. I can come back and do the metal work to clean it up. Realistically, I think that's strong enough the way it's sitting now. But just in case somebody pulls out in front of me and Linda decides to slam on the brakes, I'm gonna reinforce this thing. I mean, I've got these brackets here, might as well use them. I cleaned up the metal here and here, and what I'll probably do is find some stock that I can come across here with, and then weld a bracket that comes off of it. That way I can mount it that way too. And I chopped up the firewall a good bit. It's just insurance on this to make sure if I do have to stand on this brake pedal, then hopefully it won't try to break free or push the firewall out. So I'll do that next. I'll have to see what I've got for drops. tools, let me show you a couple of the parts that came out from earlier. So those other rusty parts that I had, I took them apart and powder coated them. I just got them reassembled. I got my guides back in and my inserts for the steering column, and same with the bracket. Blasted all of that and powder coated it. Remember, it was pretty rusty. And then here's the lock for that other piece. And then the column. So the column's been fighting me pretty hard. I clear coated it with this material that I had, and I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like the way that it turned out. And then I just went back and re-clear coated it with some automotive clear. I actually did 3 rounds and it kept yellowing on me. I tried powder coating it, and then it did the same thing. It kind of turned brown. And right now it's just too shiny. I don't like the way that how shiny it came out. So what I started doing was taking the Scotch-Brite, and I did a little sample piece here where the clamp's going to go where no one's going to see it. And where that is, I like the look of that. I like the faded look. So I'm going to take a chance and do the whole thing. Worst comes to worst, I have to shoot it again. But I think I can get it uniform if I take my time and scuff it a little more and make it look like a brushed natural finish. So that's where I'm at on that. As this cools down, I'm going to take these pedals out one last time. I'll paint all of that area and grind it behind where the pedals are going to go, and dress up some of that metalwork, and then I can get this thing final installed, which has been a long time coming. So much for a short video, right? All right, so I went to put the column back together. This thing has been plaguing me. I got it cleared with the satin clear. I got everything brushed. I got the finish that I wanted, but then I realized that what I thought was the turn signal was actually the 4-ways. So the first time I did this, I machined the wrong side. So I got to do it again. I took it all apart completely this time so I get all the chips out, and I machined that down. I'll put the cover in that side, and then I can start reassembling. Another thing that I did off camera was today I Raptor lined the rest of the front here, and it really cleaned it up. So the front matches the back, everything's prepped, all of the surfaces up under the dash also, everything's cleaned up, wire wheeled and Raptor lined. I'm sitting pretty. I'll get this column back together, hopefully. We'll see. And then I can start reassembling.
So wrapping this project up, I made a couple of small changes in the end. I found a clutch pedal that was offset, so I swapped that, and because of it I had to change the clutch stop as well. But overall, I was super happy with the way this turned out, and I've got plenty of clearance.